The Trump administration just got slammed in a way nobody saw coming. A Republican-appointed judge, an 85-year-old veteran of the bench, just made a jaw-dropping comparison that's already sending shockwaves through the political world. He compared the Trump administration's actions to the dark days of bounty hunters chasing down newly freed slaves. It's one of the most audacious attempts to silence free speech we've seen in decades. But here's the thing. This isn't just about politics. This is about your freedom, your right to speak out, and the very future of democracy itself. Stick around because we're about to break it all down and show you exactly why this matters. So what exactly happened here? The Trump administration's conduct just got exposed in an explosive legal showdown. Judge Young, a seasoned, no-nonsense senior judge, took on some of the most powerful people in the country, Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. What was at stake? The First Amendment. Yes, the very right that allows you to speak your mind freely, whether you're American or not. But here's where it gets even crazier. Yes, it's not an isolated incident. This is part of a much larger pattern, a trend that has been quietly growing, where powerful figures in government think they can silence dissent. The question is, how far will they go before we lose the very freedoms that define us? Judge Young didn't hold back. He didn't just point out a minor error. He exposed a deep, orchestrated conspiracy by top government officials, and he made it clear that it wasn't just about legal missteps. We're talking about an all-out assault on the First Amendment. I find it breathtaking, Judge Young said, calling out the actions of Trump's cabinet secretaries for infringing on the rights of people protesting on U.S. soil. But here's the twist. These weren't just any protests. These were people, including students and professors, peacefully speaking out on issues related to Israel and Palestine. Their only crime? Exercising their right to free speech. And yet the administration responded by snatching them off the streets, detaining them in ICE facilities, and denying them due process. This wasn't just a mistake, and this was an attack on democracy itself. But what's even more chilling, the Trump administration didn't even deny it. In fact, they had the audacity to tell Judge Young, "Well, you don't have jurisdiction over us." Can you believe that? Now let's take a step back. This isn't just an isolated incident. It's part of a pattern that's been building for years. Think about it. We've seen this before in history, where powerful officials tried to control the narrative, silence protest, and crush any form of dissent. And right now, we're witnessing it happening again. Judge Young's ruling isn't just a legal decision, it's a wake-up call. The normalization of this kind of government overreach, this quiet erosion of rights, should terrify us all. It's happening under our noses, and it's being framed as a necessary action for national security, when in reality, it's a full-on assault on basic freedoms. This is what happens when power is unchecked. This is the price we pay when leaders ignore the Constitution they swore to uphold. But wait, it gets worse. What Judge Young uncovered was just the tip of the iceberg. The Trump administration's response, it wasn't just defensive, it was downright chilling. In the middle of this legal battle, they had the nerve to tell Judge Young that he had no power to do anything about this constitutional violation. No remedy, just the cold, hard dismissal of an entire constitutional principle. But that's not all. The hypocrisy runs deep. While the Trump administration claimed to defend free speech, it was actively trying to strip it away from anyone who didn't align with their views, and Judge Young didn't let that slide. He called out the administration's actions for what they were: authoritarian tactics aimed at shutting down anyone who dared to speak out. Imagine the nerve to use the very laws meant to protect us to push an agenda that silences the people. And Judge Young? He wasn't having it. He's not backing down, and neither should we. And just when you think it can't escalate further, it does. Within days, the situation goes from bad to worse. First, there's the barrage of threats and intimidation against the protesters and the judge. Then the pressure mounts on the legal system, with the Trump administration doubling down on their stance. They're not just defending their actions, they're actively trying to make it impossible for anyone to fight back. But the real kicker? The judge is being told that his hands are tied, that he has no authority to stop this wave of oppression. What happens if this continues? If this level of control, this level of fear becomes the norm, where do we stand? What happens to the rights of those who dare to disagree? It's a chilling thought, and we're already seeing the first signs of what could be a much larger crisis brewing. Now let's bring this closer to home to you. This isn't just about high-level politics anymore. It's about real people, ordinary Americans, who are bearing the brunt of this crackdown. These aren't just protesters anymore. They're students, immigrants, people who came here for a better life, only to have their rights trampled. Imagine being in their shoes. You're on a college campus, peacefully expressing your opinion, and suddenly you're dragged away, detained, and denied basic rights, all because of your beliefs. This isn't theory. This is happening right now, and it's happening in a world where dissent is being criminalized. So what does this mean for the average person? It means that the freedoms we've always taken for granted are at risk. If you feel like this hits too close to home, if you think this could happen to you, drop a comment. Let's talk about how we fight back before it's too late. But let's step back for a moment and think about why this is happening. What's driving this? Why are people in power willing to tear apart the very Constitution they vowed to protect? The answer lies in how systems are built to work and in how they can be bent. There's leverage at play here, a fear-driven mechanism that pushes people to silence opposition in the name of security or order. This isn't an accident. It's part of a larger system designed to control the narrative, to decide who gets to speak and who gets silenced. And what makes this even more dangerous is how easily these systems can be manipulated. The very freedom of speech, the cornerstone of American democracy, is being redefined as a threat. The system that was supposed to protect us is now being used to stifle dissent. This isn't just bad policy, so it's a systemic issue that allows power to grow unchecked, and that's what we need to address before it's too late. So what happens next? There are two paths forward. The first path, the one that seems most likely right now, is more of the same. We continue to see this erosion of rights, this gradual silencing of voices that don't align with the dominant narrative, more intimidation, more legal battles, more fear tactics. But then there's the second path. A path that's harder to predict, but one that offers hope. This is the path where we start to push back, where people stand up and say enough is enough. It won't be easy and it won't happen overnight, but it's possible. The system may be broken, but it's not beyond repair. What happens next depends on whether we as a society decide to demand accountability and protect the freedoms we hold dear. The momentum is building. The next move is already in the works. Which path will we take? In the end, it all comes down to one thing: the fight for freedom. What Judge Young did in his courtroom wasn't just a legal victory. It was a stand for the very essence of democracy. The system is rigged, but it's not invincible. We still have the power to challenge it. The truth is, the stakes have never been higher. This isn't about politics. It's about protecting the rights that make us who we are. So, if you want to stay on top of this battle and keep fighting for those freedoms, make sure you're subscribed. The next chapter is already unfolding, and you won't want to miss it.